Welcome to the PHNX Sun Devils live show brought to you by Draftkings Sportsbook, the one and only sportsbook app. Make sure you download the Make sure you download the Draftkings Sportsbook app today using our code PHNX and put $5 down on any NFL team to win. And as long as they do, you will receive $200 in free bets. Thank you again for joining me today. I'm Brittany Boyer. Joined with me is Juan Roque. We were supposed to have a third guest, Kyle Murphy. He is still to be found.
He might be found somewhere. I mean, we are in Phoenix, and people don't get lost around here very often. So
no, but there's a lot of stuff
going on. We'll be able to find a 6'5", 250-pound now because he lost a bunch of weight. Dude, with a beard, there's not very many of those running around. So I think we'll be all right. So, we might find him. We might dig him up, folks.
Yeah, so I'm going to try and shoot him a message here, see if we can at least get him on a video call. But Juan, how are you doing? How was, big event this morning with that Legends Luncheon, the first opportunity for you to get to see all your old teammates really in one place at the same time. What was that opportunity like?
It's just magical, Britt, because, all of us, when we came to ASU, most of us, not all of us, because, there's junior college guys and guys that were a little older, like Derek Rogers, was in his mid-20s when he was here because he served in the Air Force before playing college football.
Yeah.
But for the most part, everybody that was on that team at one point was just a young man. And we grew up here and we came to Arizona State, and this is where we became, a family, brothers, teammates, champions. And it's always magical when the group gets together, because I believe that when you play college football and you're part of a program like Arizona State and you play for a coach like Bruce Snyder, you leave a part of your soul in Tempe when you leave and go on either to professional football or graduate school. We got two doctors in this class, Dr. Damian Richardson and Dr. Kirk Robertson. So whatever path somebody took, that took you away from Tempe, that took you away from where we became that brotherhood and that family, again, you leave a part of your soul there.
Yeah.
And it's when we all come back together, it's like you recover that part of your soul. And that part that made you young and crazy and fun, it just comes right back. And you just feel the energy. You see just the love that we all have for one another. And it never happens. It always happens when we're in the big group back together. Because there's, during the season, I've been back 15 years, since 06. You'll see some teammates during the season, guy here, guy there.
Yeah.
But there's just something different when it's the whole group or the majority of the group that gets together. Just the dumb things we say and just the way we laugh, even the way you feel and think, it rejuvenates you. They're talking about a fountain of youth.
Yeah.
Get a bunch of old football players back together. That's a fountain of youth. It's like a time machine. It takes you back to that moment in time.
Well, I think everyone too brings their own energy, right? Everyone has their own unique piece of what makes them special to the team and their own personality that contributes in its own way. And so, to get all those personalities back in the same room after you all have kind of gone on to continue growing and developing and maturing in different ways, and then seeing each other now, I think it just makes it that much sweeter because you also can appreciate where their talents and where some of their strong points have taken them in life.
I was asked today at the banquet to speak, and they put me last. So you know me, Britt. I'm not just going to do 1 to 3 minutes. I told them to stuff it. But in that question that I was asked that led to that speech or, thought or feeling, what was the legacy? Fans always talk about the legacy of that team, but what it means to them. But the question posed to me by Tim Healy was, what, in your opinion, is the legacy of this team? And I was very frank. I said it's success, but not success on the field, not success for accolades or the things we accomplished as a team, but what we've accomplished as human beings, as men, as fathers, as sons. We have professional men now, first responders, 2 soldiers. So we have just an example of what the whole point of going to college to play sports is all about, is you're a student athlete.
Yeah.
And the whole point is to set you up and to give you the tools to not only succeed in your sport, whether you're male, female, basketball, volleyball, football, but how are you going to succeed in life?
Yeah.
And when it's 25 years later and you got this group of men on a stage, along with Coach Snyder's family, along with Pat Tillman's brother, with Coach Cazzetto, Coach Pettis, that is a beacon of the man that brought us all here, was Bruce Snyder. So it's success. It's the success that made us champions, the success that made us All-Americans, that made us all Pac-10. Some of us that played on to pro ball was all because of Coach Snyder. And it was a beautiful thing that we were able to come here to play for him.
And that's actually a story that I'm going to be working on, or that I am working on right now, is what you guys have gone on to accomplish off the field. Nobody has talked about that. That's something that everyone loves to talk about, what the 96 team accomplished on the field. Nobody looks at the fact that you guys have 2 doctors, a dentist, a firefighter. You're going back to school.
I got a couple firefighters.
Yeah, a couple firefighters. You're going back to school to become a lawyer now.
Potentially, yes.
Hey, you got accepted?
It's about 90%. No, I'm working on it. Well, but yeah, that's the plan, is to go back to law school.
And you're not the only one. You have another teammate who I believe I heard today wants to go back to become a criminal defense attorney.
Yes, and we also, and Micah Gira is also a local attorney here in town. So we got a lot of guys that have done a lot of things.
You have a ton of teachers in that class.
Teachers,
that still work
coaches,
and influence the everyday youth.
Terry Battle, Walled Lake Northern up in Michigan.
And so
he's there.
You and I had Paige Snyder on the Sun Devils Worldwide podcast we used to have a while ago. And so I finally got the opportunity to meet her in person and introduce myself. And so I spoke with her a little bit today because I wanted to see if she would be willing to sit down and talk with me about what she believes her father would think about what you all have gone on to achieve off of the field. And so I'm really excited to get this story done and get it out there because you guys have just done so many things. But speaking of Paige Snyder, she was able to address you guys today, her and her sister, and talk to you guys a little bit about what it meant for them to be able to be included in this event, despite the fact that their dad has already passed away, unfortunately, at such a young age. But, he had skin cancer. She is a survivor of skin cancer. It's so amazing for the kids, especially their grandkids, to have been able to be there and to see the young men. You guys aren't necessarily young now. Young.
We act young, but we're not young.
But the group that were young men that their grandfather got to work with so closely and develop such a close bond with. So we have a video of her speaking to you guys today. So we'll watch it and we'll let the viewers get to see a little bit of what took place. I'm not sure because Leah set this up. So great question. It would say Paige Snyder. This is embarrassing because this is all live now. What up, guys? It's time for our Draftkings pick of the week. This week's game is Oregon State.
I think imperfection makes it more entertaining. So what the hell, right?
Despise this. I've been here for hours.
Here, and it was such a special time for us too, as kids. Well, I guess I'm actually a couple of years older than most of you, but to ride along and to be a part of the team, we felt like we were a part of it, and we're just so thankful to be here and to have been included in this, and we wish our dad could be here. And Paige has a little note for my mom.
All right, thank you guys again for including the Snyder family. These are 2 of his grandchildren, and so they're so happy to be here to learn about their pop. That's why they're here, is I want them to soak up all they can of their grandfather. So this is from our mom. She is not here today with us. She's back in California. She wanted to share. That year was probably the greatest in all of your dad's years of coaching. It was kind of a dream. After all of the work and stops that we had made along the way, it seemed almost unreal. I would like to honor everyone involved and thank them for being a part of it. Your dad and I, our dad, we were able to have some of the happiest days after that. Tears come easily when I think of how much fun we had and how much I miss those days. So thank you for extending this to our mom, and she wishes you all well and sends her best.
So you got to listen to that little bit of a speech from, Bruce's wife. What was that like to hear, just a message from her, even though she couldn't be here? I know if you're a coach's wife, it doesn't seem like you sacrifice that much, but it's a big sacrifice to let your significant other, or not let them, but to work with them and be able to still build your relationship with them, being on the road, gone, stressed, all of that factors into it. But I know he was really a family man. Paige spoke a lot about being able to be around you guys when she was little. So, what was it like for you to just hear that message from Mrs. Snyder, I should say?
It was very emotional, because, of course, Coach Snyder passing away in 2009 just left a big void in a lot of things for us, because, our head coach is gone. 5 years earlier, Pat Tillman passed away. So being able to hear Linda Snyder's words to her daughter Paige one, it's like seeing your little sister all grown up, because, Paige was, I think, 12 years old when we went on that run. Jen and Tracy were a little older. Tracy was actually an ASU student at the time. So they were like sisters. They were always around. We knew who they were. We always joked with them and talked to them. So they were just as part of the team as anybody. And they just didn't wear pads,
Yeah.
But, seeing that and hearing Linda's words, it really just made us all feel good. It made us feel Coach Snyder's presence there. Because Coach Snyder was all about his family. I mean, he was a family man. He was married happily to Linda for all those years. They had 3 beautiful daughters who are just pillars in their community now, doing the things in life that Coach Snyder was all about. Serving the community, being upstanding people and human beings, and just having them there and having them participate with us and being there with us, along with Kevin Tillman and his kids, is just special. It's special in every way. It kind of is appropriate to have them there, so that people can have, see them there and know that, yes, these were great men, great coach, great football player, but they were also family men. They were also men that other people that loved them besides fans and media and so forth. So to have that, I think it adds to the human element of this, that in the end, we're all people. In the end, we all have families. We all care about things that are other than football, that are in everyday life. And again, not having those two powerful presences there, just made it all the more better that, again, the Snyder sisters and Kevin were able to join us today.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they're not on earth with us anymore physically, but I think spiritually they're still here, and they're watching what you guys are doing, and they would have to be so incredibly proud knowing that you guys walk with their spirit and memory and a piece of what they've left behind with you every single day. But despite the fact that 2 very key pieces were missing, you did get to see some of your old coaches like Coach Cazzetto, who, he really did bring some great energy back from deep within you guys right away. What was it
Did you get
like
that on tape?
Did you get that?
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious. You got to watch this.
Let's watch Coach Cazzetto.
So a little context on this. So we used to do this thing called mat drills before spring football. And part of that was the coaches would give directions. And by then you're just dog tired because you just did 45 minutes of conditioning. So the last 15 minutes of this 1-hour torture session was called mat drills, where we would line up in, I think, groups of 6, 6 across and as many deep as we can. There were 2 full groups of mat drills. So you had about 50 kids on one, 50 kids on the other. And you had some very ticked off coaches barking orders. And one of those was to set and then ready. And then we had to chop your feet, and then they'd give you directions. And it was just, let's just say, a not very fun experience. So Coach Cazzetto being Coach Cazzetto, had to just kind of give us kind of stir our PTSD a little bit and having us do this. So let's take a look. It's pretty hilarious.
Football position. Get out, boys. Come on, Valentine. Ready for the breakdown. Breakdown. JR, what do you think Now when I say set, you're going to move your feet.
All right, so what did you think about that excitement?
Like I said,
was
it stirred our PTSD because that was usually the beginning of the 15 minutes of torture. So for the ensuing 14 minutes and 50 seconds after that initial breakdown, it was just screaming, yelling, making you start over. Guys started yelling at each other. But, it was a test. It was a test of toughness, because to get through those 15 minutes required you to, in essence, ignore the pain. You had to be able to follow orders. You had to be able to do what you were told. You had to be able to execute. You had to be able to function. What is football in the fourth quarter when the game's on the line and there's 3 minutes left or 4 minutes left? You're tired. You're in pain. but you got to be able to execute. You got to hear the play call. You got to be able to do what you were coached to do. You got to be able to, hear a call. You got to run the right route. You got to make the right block, make the tackle, run the right defense. So it taught us to play football because while it was torturous, and I don't think anyone's ever going to say they enjoyed mat drills or the drills leading up to mat drills, but it was teaching us to be and conditioning us to be mentally tough.
Yeah.
So that you become impervious when it's the fourth quarter. You played 70 plays. You're not tired. I mean, you're tired, but what I mean is you're not breaking down. You're not falling apart, because at that point you're chiseled out of wood, and there's nothing that's going to happen that you're not ready for, or that you can't respond to, or that you can't beat the hell out of. So. Do
you think that those mat drills are part of the? We have Kyle calling us in.
All right.
So we'll get him on, and we can get his opinion real quick. Hi,
There's
Kyle.
my man.
What's up, guys?
How you doing?
Sorry, there you go. That's better. I'm good. Just friends in town from Vegas for the weekend, and we're down at Casa grabbing some lunch before we head over to Varsity Tavern at 5.
Right on.
Sounds like fun. Are you going to go to Devils After Dark tonight at 6 on Mill? You going to hit some basketball stuff?
I'm just gonna go where probably most people go. So wherever most of the fellas are going is where I'll end up. I know Kendrick Bates is judging the dunk contest, so he's one of the judges. So I know he's excited
Kendrick.
about that. Honestly, it's kind of like at the luncheon. I just love hanging out. So wherever the most guys are doing the most things, we'll be in the middle of it.
Well, we just were watching the video with Coach Cazzetto, having you guys run through the mat drills again, and a little bit of the PTSD he gave you. And the question I was about to ask Juan, and I didn't get it out yet because you started calling, and I wanted to get your input on this too. Do you believe that the mental grit and the toughness that those kind of drills prepared you for are something that have helped each and every one of you succeed to the level that you have off of the field?
100%. I think everything that we were put through, even, the tough years, Juan was there a year before me, but, 6-5 in 93, 3-8, then 6-5, and Juan mentioned it at the luncheon, the close losses that we experienced, U of A in 95 was one of those that stand out for me. It forced us, and then going through what we had to go through at Tonazona, like all of that is what led to 96. And I agree with you. The grit, the perseverance, that we all had and that we required of each other propels me in things I do today. Like I have a very difficult time giving anything up, which isn't always a good thing, right? I can be incredibly stubborn, but it's that willpower to fight through in order to achieve what we wanted. And that really was what it was. And I think, what the coaches did such an outstanding job of in mat drills is they turned us against them, right? They did things in a way that made us despise what we were doing, as, Cazzetto was making us do mat drills, the things we remember, because it then tightened our bond, right? And so all of those bonds are tightened. And mat drills was certainly a big part of that.
Juan, what do you have to say about the mat drills? What's your input on it?
Well, like Kyle said, it united us in essence against the coaches because you're so ticked off, but at the same time you have to be able to function. You have to be able to not let your teammates down. The whole point of the drill is to not let your brother down, because if you were the guy that didn't run all the way through the line, if you were the guy who was too slow to change direction, if you were the guy who didn't seed roll correctly, remember those, Kyle? If you were basically the weak link of the group, you were going to get everybody sent back. So what it really conditioned in all of us is I can't let my brother down. Like Kyle said, these guys are out to get us right now. They're out to torture us. They're out to make life difficult for these 15 minutes. I'm not going to be the guy that lets my brother Kyle down. I'm going to give it my 100% balls out effort so that I'm not the guy that screwed it up. And it teaches accountability to each and every one of us.
100%. And to go along with that, some things I learned when I started coaching, it was forging the bond because the coaches aren't out there on the field, right? You have to be able to rely to the guy to your left and to your right to not let you down, as Juan said. And that was you have personal things you want to achieve, personal goals. Ultimately, though, I never wanted to do anything that, made Juan look bad or made Kirk Robertson look bad or, the rest of the offense. And that's really what all of that did. And we just didn't know it. Again, we were 18 to 22 years old. We think we know what's what. And we had no idea.
Yeah. Now, you guys, I know for some people it really kind of is a point of pride, but also a point of concern that the 96 team really was the last Arizona State team to truly reach that level of success. What are some of your bets? Like, if you had to place a bet on, if you guys all got back together, who would be, like, the most athletic still? Who would you bet on being the most athletic out of your prior group?
Oh, my gosh. Well, it certainly wouldn't be any of the offensive linemen.
No.
I mean, look, we had some incredible DBs. I mean, Damian Richardson, I saw him not too long ago. He looks in tremendous shape, so I think he's still probably pretty athletic. I mean, Brian Jennings looks phenomenal.
Yeah, he looks great.
Vince, Amy looks great. I mean,
he'd look better if he wasn't repping those red and blue colors all the time.
I would put my money on Kendrick. You know what? I'd put my money on Kendrick Bates right now because his ability to play basketball and move, and he still looks like he could play today. I'll go Kendrick. That would be my guess.
Kendrick Bates, yeah. Kendrick is in incredible shape. I'll tell you who impressed me that looks awesome. I don't know how good he moves, but I know he looks amazing, and that's Jeremy Stott. He looks phenomenal. Yeah, I was blown away, Kyle, when I saw him. I'm like, wow, you look like a changed man. He 3 years ago, he weighed the same thing I did. Now I feel like the fat guy in the group because everyone's losing weight and I'm still where I'm at, so that's okay.
Jake Plummer very much reminds me of Aaron Rodgers' look that he's got going on right now, where he kind of just looks like he came out from like a time machine and is like, hey, guys, I'm back. With his beard and his hair that he's not rocking.
Kyle, would you agree? Jake goes through these stages. He'll go through the beard stage, and then he shaves it all off, and then he'll be clean shaven for a while. Right now, he's in a beard stage, and that's just what it is. It's just Jake.
100%. It was something I'm not sure that I really realized until the stories, I guess, more recently, or it just didn't hit me that for as much structure as we had, and I think sometimes I was so focused on being disciplined, I didn't see the other aspects that, Bruce allowed us to be us, right? Jake got to be Jake. Jake wasn't, They didn't try to make Jake into something else, or Pat, or, Sean Sueda, or Juan, or anybody else. Everybody got to be who they were, which I think gives a lot of credit to Snyder that something I just hadn't thought about. Particularly in the 90s, because I always felt like we were so structured, and in a lot of ways we were. Yet he allowed the goofiness, the character side of us to move fluidly, and didn't try to stymie that part of who we were. And it, again, shows his leadership and his ability to understand what his team needs.
Yeah, and on that vein, Kyle Murphy had one of the most legendary descriptions of Jake. Kyle, I'm going to take you back to an ESPN story that they did on Jake Plummer. Remember this, Kyle?
Okay.
And they were talking about Jake.
No.
They were talking about Jake, and Kyle started to describe Jake's antics in the locker room.
Oh, right, yes.
And then, and I hope you remember this. So then the ESPN reporter asked him, so he's not really a snake. And you answered with what, Kyle, remember?
Oh, no, that I don't.
You said he's a farm animal. He said, so he's not really a snake. Like, no, he's a farm animal.
I mean, again, I think that's what makes that, again, part of what makes that team so great is we still do. We still rip each other. Like, there's nobody, you just come in and you're right back into it. You're right back ripping on each other. You're right back to stories. I had forgotten about that. It just, so many things that are awesome about it. And I want to go back to what you said, Brittany. A concern for me is I love that we talk about us and we celebrate. Yeah, I want to celebrate. I want other people to experience what we got to. I want other athletes, other football players to get to experience everything that we've gotten to experience, because it's been amazing. and it continues to be amazing. And it's unlike anything else, and it's really hard to describe. And you just want that for them because you know how hard they're working.
Yeah.
You know, we've been there, as have you. You know all the time and effort being put into it.
Yeah, it's a lot. So, I mean, I know a lot of people would love to see this Arizona State team go back. If you want to go place a bet on how likely they are to make it to the Rose Bowl, I'm sure you can do that on DraftKingsSportsbook.com or by downloading the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use our code PHNX. Put $5 down on any NFL team to win, and you will get $200 in any NFL or in free bets. I can't speak English today. I'm having a really hard time.
It's Friday, Brett. It's Friday.
It is Friday. Yeah, so make sure you download that DraftKings Sportsbook app. 21 plus only, Arizona only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. New customers only. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Also, speaking of beards, whenever Jake is ready to shave his, he can use our code if he goes to Manscaped, PHNX, and get 20% off on the Lawnmower 4.0 to get a nice little shave going on when he's ready to get that cleaned up. So
at some point he'll show up clean shaven.
Terrific segue. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, that is.
So going back to, talking a little bit about the past and you guys playing together and the fact that no one has gone on to really accomplish what you guys were able to accomplish. That 2013 team came close. They made it to the Pac-12 championships, but no one's gone past there. This team has the potential to be special, but there still seems to be somewhat of an issue with communication on the offensive line. And I have two great offensive linemen sitting here with me, so I'd like to get your take on where you think they could improve.
Well, I'll start because I think it's important that I let Kyle know this, is that there's no way in hell, and I say this from the bottom of my heart, that I would have been as good as I was, or that I would have achieved what I did without him next to me. Kyle was an intelligent football player who studied hard, worked hard, and by the time we were midway through that 96 season, we played a lot of games together. It was instinctive. And when you have that type of greatness next to you, when you have that type of presence, it elevates you. And what I would like to see from these guys is that type of relationship with each other. Is where you become almost instinctive. You become almost where you anticipate what your brother's going to do, and you hold each other accountable. Because Kyle was a leader in that sense. Even though you're younger than me, he was a leader on that group because he held us accountable to each other. We held each other accountable. But that's what I'd like to see more of, and I haven't seen it because, as you know, this group, that keeps changing every year. They've lined up with a different group of 5 for the last 3 years. It's always a different group. We didn't have that problem because by the time we were 96, we'd all played together a long time at that point. So it's just I would like to see, and I wish that I would see more of that where they're holding each other accountable.
How about for you, Kyle?
I mean, I would agree with that. I mean, I can go back to, and I appreciate everything, Juan, that you said. I mean, again, Juan is, one of those special people in my life and forever will be.
Likewise.
His game elevated me. Kirk Robertson elevated me. 95, we were playing Oregon. I was coming back off a ACL partial tear and wasn't playing very well. And Kirk got in my face and, said, if you talk about wanting to be the best, then you got to go out and play like it. And it's to Juan's point that if guys aren't playing well, and hopefully they're doing that in the meeting room, it needs to be done on the field as well. If you are consistently getting penalties, if you are consistently hurting your team, then your brother's got to let you know about it and let you know that that's what you're doing. And so, penalties is an accountability thing. As Juan said, you have to be accountable to one another, and that's really what penalties are. There's aggressive play, and then there's not fixing mistakes and having the same mistakes over and over. That's what leads to inconsistent play. Consistent play, again, it's that oath that we talk about, right? I'll care about my teammates. I will display courage. I will know what to do. All of those things matter. And so... Yeah,
you got tested on them today.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think, Juan's point about accountability is the biggest thing. Because that's honestly who you should be playing for. You should be playing for the guy around you. Because ultimately, if you're doing that, your game will be elevated. It just, that's the how.
Now, last question in terms of what you guys, what your opinions are with some things that are going on right now before we segue into this week's game. But I know you both pay fairly decent attention to Arizona State football and what's going on. So
just a little bit.
I mean, I'm not sure if you guys really listen to a lot of the press conferences or get to hear all of those. So this week, Herm Edwards talked about how following up with the Utah game, he wrote the captains of the team a handwritten letter, just addressing them and kind of letting them know his thoughts and talking to them in a way that he felt like it might resonate more with them. And after he did that, Darian Butler came into the media room on Wednesday and sat down and said that he actually took kind of a lot of the fault for that loss in Utah and said, I know for a fact I was not one of the leaders that I needed to be. I was not vocal enough. I didn't do what I needed to do. And that loss is partially like a lot on me. So as former players, how does it feel? You know, what kind of vibe do you get hearing that the coach wrote them a head note, or the head coach wrote them a note, handwritten note, and you know, now some of the players are actually taking that accountability for the loss?
I mean, I guess, sorry about the plane overhead. To me, it's kind of a twofold thing. I think it's great that you're taking accountability. Mm-hmm. I think you have to understand, you have to start with yourself, which is what Bruce always taught us. Take responsibility for your actions, for the decisions you make. The other piece is making sure, part of being a leader is making sure those guys are following. So if that hasn't happened, that's a little disconcerting, because you have veteran guys on both sides of the ball, guys who've been in the program for 3 years. And
especially on defense.
Right. That shouldn't be an issue. And so that to me is the part where it's like, what else is going on? There's another piece that is affecting that, because that should not be happening. Communication issues, accountability issues. If you're hearing the things that we've heard in the past, and yet we're making the same mistakes, then those things that we've heard about haven't really been taking place.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword on that. It's good to see accountability. It's good to see a senior standing up. But when you're 7 games into a season, that's really a conversation you should be having the first or second game, not after a critical conference game where everything was going right and then all of a sudden everything went wrong. Yeah. But at the same time, there's enough time left. There's enough game left. There's enough season left. Like Kyle said, if you can clean those things up, yes, accountability is huge. And I think that Herm writing his captains, first I've heard of a coach doing that, but just shows you that Herm Edwards is also not your typical head coach. He's been around a long time. He knows, I think he's getting a feel for his seniors, because this is his senior class now. Yeah. And I think it's appropriate he did that. If he sees something, because I think this man's seen a lot of football. He's seen a lot of winning football. He's also seen not so good football. So when you have a man like that leading your program, if he felt compelled that he had to do that to maybe stir things up and get these guys thinking about accountability, thinking about being more vocal, somebody has to step up and lead these guys. Yeah. And somebody has to be that guy, and somebody has to be the catalyst, so to speak, or the spark. We had several of those guys. Jake, Kyle, Derek Smith, Pat. I mean, we had guys that were vocal that provided that spark to the team. Mm-hmm. And that is something that I feel is needed on this squad. Don't wait for someone to be the guy. You be the guy. And maybe Darian, in doing that, hopefully has morphed into hopefully that passionate, spirited guy that's taking care of his business too, don't mind you, but will also start holding accountable around him.
Yeah, and you would just hope that would help kind of inspire the others to lead by example as well after they see him doing what he's doing. So, I think it's going to be interesting to see. Go ahead. I think
the other part that I'm not sure that I recognize enough from our team is how competitive it was at practice.
Yes.
Like, it was competitive. Like, nobody wanted to lose. We did things to piss the other side off. There was a lot of talking, which I imagine goes on now. That bred that next level for us, right? Being that competitive in practice and not allowing an inch to anybody is what helped elevate us. And so I'm not at practice every day, so I can't speak one way or another to it. I'm hopeful that that's happening, because if it is, then again, then you can keep getting better. Again, you're 5-2. Goals are still available. It's not as if the season's a loss. I think it's just hopefully the issues that they have dealt with at the beginning part of and through these 7 games are no longer.
Yeah.
It's funny, Kyle mentions about competitiveness in practice and you wanting to kick the defense's rear end day in, day out, because, again, it got peer-spirited, and it seemed like the more critical the game, the higher the temperature was at practice. And I'm not talking about the air temperature. I'm talking about the heat of us going after each other. Kyle and I would actually change calls, because you play against our offense long enough, the defense starts getting hip to what we're doing. And if they hear me say something to Kyle, or Kyle may go call me, so we would actually change it up. We would make things up just to screw with them, so they wouldn't know what we were doing. Remember that, Kyle? Like, we would change we would just change the calls.
What was your favorite, most random call that you just changed?
We remember Kyle afuera? We would have this call. It was called outside, where Kyle, right, we would fan out to the D end and the tackle because of the alignments. Right. And I'd tell Kyle, Spanish was afuera, means outside in Spanish. Right. And we used it in a practice, and I believe it was Sean Sueda said, "What the hell are you guys talking Spanish for?" You had no idea what we were doing. But that's how it was. We were trying to find any competitive edge we could.
I like it, though. Those are the awesome stories. So this week, big game. It's really not ideal to go into a bye off of a loss, but this loss, or the bye came at a good point in the season for the team. At that 7-week mark, give them a nice little bit of a refresher as they get into this final stretch, which is not by any means going to be an easy stretch. There's 3 of us here. We normally do 3 keys to the game. So if we each want to do what our key will be, I can go last if either of you would like to go first for what your key to victory will be.
Go for it, Kyle.
For me, it'd be defensively getting third down stops, getting off the field on third down, allowing the offense to have more possessions, and keeping the other offense off the field, not allowing them to have that momentum. So third down conversions, or not allowing third down conversions for the defense.
Yeah, I think a critical key, because that is a very critical key, but I think one is offensively, they got to stay on the field. They can't match the 3 and out. So if our defense, like Kyle said, is getting them off the field and keeping their offense on the sidelines, the offense has to reciprocate with sustained drives. They can't be going 5, 6, 7 plays and then all of a sudden breaking down at the 48-yard line and then having to punt it or go for it on 4th down. They need sustained drives. Consistency on 1st and 2nd down is going to be critical in this game. They got to get, whether it's Trainum, whether it's Ngata, any one of the backs, or whether a 6-yard pass, they got to be able to have success on 1st and 2nd downs. They got to stay out of that 3rd and 8, 3rd and 12. I mean, those brain farts of false starts and holdings, that has to be cleaned up.
Yeah.
And it's going to be critical on 1st and 2nd down to be able to get into 2nd and 5, 3rd and 2, 2nd and 2. Why? Because then you could take your shots downfield. Then you can take those risks. You could run that streak right route and try to get that quick touchdown, but sustained drives, success on 1st and 2nd down consistently is going to be key in this game. It's a game they should win, but as we see, there's no should in this league.
No.
The Pac-12 is the league where anything. Saturday, you're going to get your ass kicked if you're not prepared, because whether it's a 1-9 team playing a 9-1 team, the 1-9 team has a chance.
Yeah.
In this conference. So
unless you're the 0-9
they got to be ready,
because then you don't really have a chance.
If you remember, a 2-9 or 2-8 or whatever was U of A,
sure.
Arizona team ran over an ASU team that was all they had to do was win to be bowl eligible in 2016. Remember that? And in 2011, all ASU had to do was beat a 2-9 U of A team.
Yeah.
To win the Pac-12 South.
Yeah, and then they ended up going 6-6.
Mike Willie's dropping the end zone. Remember that? So
yeah,
we know how that ended.
It's rough, but I think my key to the game is going to, aside from obviously cleaning up the penalties, I think it's going to be, getting back to your basics on tackling. I didn't like how I felt like things were getting sloppy for a while. When Todd Graham was here, defense really struggled with wrapping up, bringing guys down. They were so worried about just trying to bump guys out or strip
pushing
the ball.
Quarterbacks.
Yeah, but they're not actually getting back to the basics of wrapping guys up and tackling. And I felt like there was a little bit of that coming to fruition against Utah, and I don't know if it's because they were getting frustrated. They're trying to just bump into people. You're trying to strip the ball to get a turnover, whatever it might be. I think they just need to do their job, play clean football, wrap up, tackle, bring them down. Nothing more.
Good point.
I like it.
So those are my keys. Do we want to make any predictions for what the final score is going to be?
I think. Go ahead, Kyle. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Juan. No,
Well, I think given what Wazoo's been going through, they lost their head coach, they lost several position coaches. This is a team that you would say right now is probably rudderless, but that's also a dangerous team. However, at the same time, I think that the Sun Devils, with Herm Edwards and Jaden and Darian and all the guys that I think maybe were slapped a little bit awake a couple weeks ago, where they realized that you're not just going to come out after halftime and the team's just going to lay down because you're who you are and you're up 21-7. I think they learned a bitter lesson in that game. I want to think that they learned a bitter lesson in that game. If they are winners and champions and competitors, they learned a bitter lesson in that game. I think they're going to come out fired up. I think we're going to see guys flying around. I think we're going to see some of these, hopefully, issues resolved. You're at home. It's homecoming, yada, yada, yada. But in the end, it's football. You got to do it in the 60 minutes that you're in the game. I say ASU figures it out, gets it done, gets to 6-2. And I say Devils 42, Washington State 17.
All right. You want to go next, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean that's a tough act to follow. I mean, I agree with Juan in that I think the first quarter is going to tell us where this team is at. Because I would, if I'm speaking about our team, then we would have come out pissed off, right? Fired up, looking to be competitive and show people that what they saw previously was not, who we are. So I'm interested in seeing that. I think they come out. I think it's going to be 30, ASU 30, Washington State 18. I think they come out and I think they run the ball really well, get a couple big plays through the passing game, and then just really, really maul them at the end. That's what I think. I think that's how they're going to come out and play.
So
How about you, Britt? All right.
I have the final score being 40-24. I think Washington State is a shifty team, kind of hard to prepare for in a way, because you look at how they started the year and then, they fired their head coach. Not that changes what you need to do on the field, but then you also have to take into consideration, okay, well, what are they going to be prepared for? What aren't they going to be prepared for? They're big, they're physical, they're experienced. I still think Arizona State's going to be able to get the best of them, but I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk like some people are anticipating after they're thinking of the start of Washington State's season. So I got it at 40-24. We'll see what ends up happening, though.
Let's hope that our Devils take care of business.
Yeah. Well, Kyle, is there anything else that you want to add, or we can let you get back to go eating with your family and friends?
No, I think, ultimately I'm just a very thankful person. I'm very thankful that Dan Cazzetto recruited me, that Bruce Snyder offered me a scholarship, that I spent my very formative years here, and that I have created a family because of that. So I'm just a really thankful person. I'm thankful for the guy sitting in your studio with you. So yeah, that's all I would share, is that I'm just incredibly thankful.
And I'm thankful for you coming on the show, taking the time out of your day to join us. It's always amazing to get to talk to you. You're one of my favorite people. I know I don't really get to tell you that enough, but every time you come to Phoenix, I do have quite a bit of a deep life talk with you, and I always appreciate it.
Sure.
So, Kyle, thank you so much.
He's good to have those with, isn't he?
He really is.
Like,
Kelly is too, though. His wife Kelly.
Oh,
is
Kelly's
awesome, too.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah. I appreciate it. I'm sure I'll see you around tonight, but thank you again
For sure.
so much.
All right, bro. I'll see you soon, bro.
Got it.
All right.
All right, bro.
So, Juan, we are almost done. We're going to go through our Pac-12 picks of the week, because
Oh, jeez.
we like to talk a little bit about what else is going on. So first and foremost, we started with the ASU Washington State game. That was the first game on the schedule, if the rest of them will open. We
Kind of love
have-
computers these days. Huh?
After that, we have Colorado at number 7, Oregon. I don't see how Colorado gets anything done up there.
I think Oregon's going to go into that game pissed off. I think that last week, that little shakeup in Westwood woke them up a little bit, that they're not going to cakewalk through anybody in this conference. And I think that Colorado, coming off that win against U of A, is going to probably be riding high, but they're going to get quacked hard. They're going to get quacked harshly. And I think Oregon's going to have that game that they haven't had this season, probably since the beginning of the year. I say Ducks 52, Colorado 10.
Yeah, I don't have a final score
I think Thibodeau's gonna have another effing great game.
It's gonna be a big game for them, I'm sure. You know, Colorado's offense only put up 104
They're
yards.
not gonna block Thibodeau, Britt. They're not gonna block Thibodeau.
104 yards against Cal.
Yeah, Thibodeau's gonna be the number 1 pick of the draft. I said it.
Yeah,
He's gonna be better than Myles Garrett.
He's good.
I said it.
After that, Arizona at USC. I'm going with USC in this one too. You can't pick Arizona, I think, at this point in time. They were finally looking like they might win last week against Washington, and then Dylan Morris came out in the fourth quarter and just lit them up.
I think that the Trojans right now are in disarray, but you can't sleep on the fact, and we were not going to be able to when we faced them either. They're phenomenal athletes on that side of the field. They are well coached because they got a good staff that stayed in place after Helton was let go.
Yes.
So this is a team that can kick your teeth in if you're not careful.
Yeah.
And you send in a Wildcats team that's reeling, literally, that program's reeling right now. And even though they put up a good effort and a good fight, eventually that starts to wane because it's hard to go in, week out, and just get your head kicked in.
Yeah.
Or to blow it at the last minute. They've had injury issues. They've had execution issues, penalty issues. I think that two teams that are in two different universes right now, one with a new head coach, one without a head coach,
well,
at least
USC,
a permanent coach.
I feel like lives in a different universe because they're not happy unless they're winning a national championship that year or Pac-12 championship.
Which is a little bit funny to say, Britt, because I haven't done it in over 17 years.
Yeah.
And, you know, the one that they did get the most recently was taken away from them. So, so I still say that USC is going to dominate. USC is going to roll. I don't think the Wildcats have a chance in that game. USC 49, U of A 17. It'll be close for about a quarter and a half, maybe even. You may even see a halftime score that would be shockingly 21-7 or something along those lines. But I think eventually the Trojans are going to break it open. U of A is not going to be able to compete with those athletes.
All right. After that, we have Oregon State at Cal. This is a super close game in the sports books. You know, Oregon State's been looking hot, but
Yes.
Cal had a big win last week against Colorado that I think really helped boost their confidence. I think it really helped them kind of establish a little bit of an offensive identity and figure out where they're at. So, you know, what is your take on this one?
I think the Beavers build a dam all over the Bears. I don't think the Bears have a chance in that game. Oregon State is physical. They will beat you up. They tackle. They swarm on defense. They are a well-coached football team. I think they are the most underrated team in the Pac-12 conference right now. They slapped around Utah. The same Utah team that ran ASU over in that second half that looked basically unbeatable. The same Utah team that beat up on USC got rolled last week. Physically, they got dominated. Oregon State, I think, has Oregon in their crosshairs, and they're taking it one game at a time, kind of like we did in '96. They have their Rose Bowl aspirations too, Britt. So I think it's going to be a heck of a game, but I say the Beavers are going to be rocking it, and they'll come out with a huge win in Berkeley.
Well, this was our DraftKings cheese pick of the week because we could not make up our mind. So if you want to go ahead and roll that one, Aaron.
What up, guys? It's time for our DraftKings pick of the week. This week's game is Oregon State at Cal. It's time to see what the cheese says. All right.
I hit Cal.
All right.
I got it on camera.
Good.
I got two cheesies. It broke it in half, so I'll just make a cheese ball. I'm aiming for Cal because I think Cal's going to win this game, but that's why it's a cheese pick because we just don't know where it goes. That's Cal. Give me Cal.
All right. We
That's
went
great.
with Cal because of the cheese pick. My gut, though, says Oregon State will be able to pull this off, but I think it's going to be a close game. I mean, it's a 1-point spread right now in the books. I think it's for a good reason. I think it's going to be, honestly, out of all of the games, I think that this is going to be a sleeper game, but it's going to be one of the best games.
I agree. I still think the Beavers are going to roll. I think that when you look at that offensive line, and they have just been crushing people the last few weeks. And again, they have Oregon in their crosshairs. They're not there yet. They got a few games to go, and every opponent is just another hurdle to get to that game against the Ducks. And I don't know, the Beavers, they're looking really good right now, Britt. Put it this way. I know they're ways away for us, but we're going to have all we can handle in Corvallis in November. We better be ready to go, but it starts tomorrow with Wazoo, so we're not going to get too ahead of ourselves. We'll cross that bridge later.
We got, after that, UCLA at Utah. I think on paper, this
Go
is going
Bruins.
to be the biggest game
Go
of the
Bruins.
weekend. Yeah, I have UCLA winning this. Shane picked Utah, but I went with UCLA. I think that, you look at the stats, especially if Dorian Thompson-Robinson's going to be playing.
God, he's good.
My
gosh.
They were a little bit uncertain of what was going to happen to him. He had an injury to his throwing hand last week.
Yeah. And still balled out.
He did.
With injury. What tells you how tough that kid is.
Yeah, that game was good.
That was a great game. Holy crap.
So,
that's what college football is all about.
I think that Utah, they were on a good run, but I think last week they kind of just got punched in the mouth, and for them, they're going to be upset, but I don't think they're going to come into this game with the same kind of chip on their shoulder that UCLA is going to come into this game with. You just had college game day at your campus for a huge game, and you almost were able to upset Oregon. The conference is in disarray. You were favored at the beginning of the year to win the Pac-12 South, especially from the eye test with the first couple weeks until they had lost to Fresno State. So just a lot going on with this game, so much on the line. I'm rooting for the Bruins in it. I think it's best for ASU in that, but I'm excited to see Dorian Thompson-Robinson ball out too.
I am, and I think that Chip Kelly is going to have them playing pissed off, and obviously Utah's at home, so it's comfort for them at Rice Eccles. It's a tough place to play. They got a great fan base there. They're rabid. And hats off to that program up there. But I just think that right now the Bruins have a lot more to play for. I think that they know that they came so close against Oregon, and there was just critical mistakes at key times, a big play here, a missed tackle there. And I think that what happened with Oregon State running over Utah last week, I think it's one or the other where they can potentially show up with that chip on their shoulder. But I agree. I think that UCLA goes in there and they give the Utah a reality check. Finally,
Washington at Stanford. This one for the North could have a really big impact on how I think it plays out. I'm going with Stanford in this game, especially after you saw the meltdown that Washington had last week against U of A.
God, that was bad, wasn't it? That was a painful game to watch.
I'm sorry, they didn't have a meltdown, but the meltdown U of A had against Washington. But Washington's inability to produce at the beginning of that game for the first three quarters was so bad. And it all comes down to Dylan Morris, in my opinion. I think he's the X factor. When he started hitting his shots that he was taking down the field, he looked good. But for the first half of the game, his accuracy was so off. And that's the problem that I feel like he's been having for most of the year. So if he's able to pass accurately and be in his groove, then I think that Washington will make this a game. But more often than not, he's struggling to find his rhythm, his footing, whatever you want to call it, whenever he goes out there. He's not really rolling right now. I think you got to go with Stanford. McKee's been having a great year. Definitely one of the best quarterbacks ASU had faced at that point in time, even with Dorian Thompson-Robinson already under their belt. So, yeah, I think Stanford's going to pull it out.
Yeah, I don't see any scenario where the Huskies are going to go into Palo Alto and win that football game. I think that UW is just a bad team right now. I don't think that they have a lot going for them. Watching that game against U of A was painful. I thought the Wildcats actually had a chance in that game, and they did have a chance. And if they look at that film, they're going to see that they left a lot of opportunities.
A ton.
At home against the Huskies. But I just don't think Washington's a good football team right now. I think that they have a lot of things they got to figure out. I think there's been, since Chris Peterson has left, a little bit of a brain drain and a talent drain. They don't look like the same Huskies team that was even competing in 2013, 2014. It's just not the same program, and much less the program back in the early 90s when I was a recruit, when the Huskies were just literally unstoppable. So I just don't see any scenario where the Huskies are going to be able to do anything against Stanford. Stanford's going to roll.
Yeah, that's what I think too. Well, wrapping things up, it's time for our Friday Funnies. Couple of Friday Funny videos to just get the weekend starting off right, get some laughs.
You mean the
going.
Mad Drill wasn't enough?
Oh, that was good, but these don't have to do with you guys doing some stuff. So, all right, Aaron, whenever you want to start with whatever one.
Okay, y'all, so this was highly requested because if you know, my pops, he has a weightlifting team or whatever, and he benched 600 plus, like 600. So this should be lightweight to him. And in the video that I saw, they used bottles, and I was like, Dad, I bet you could top that. So I tied gallons of water onto the string. So that, what you're gonna do is, it's a little heavy to me, so you're gonna hold that, and you're gonna, so you're just gonna place it. But it's like a physics thing. So I'm gonna start stacking some books and see if you can hold it, okay? So we're gonna start off very lightweight. Can you do that? Not heavy yet? Good.
The damn screen could be.
Okay. Let me go grab some more books. Well, so.
Yeah, that ain't gonna work.
What?
What is that?
I don't know.
Really be. That's some bullshit.
I can see.
I did not see that coming. I was like, where's this going? Oh my God. If that was my daughter, you are grounded for a year, young lady. Don't even think about going to prom or homecoming or Sadie Hawkins. Get your ass in your room. I want to see you for 365 days.
That's the stuff I would
Oh my
do.
gosh.
Oh my God, I'm the worst.
Did you see his face?
Yeah.
Oh
All
man.
right.
Oh,
The
geez.
next one.
Get in the car! You're supposed to be at work, Evan. Mason's mortified. Get in the car. Oh my God. I just passed a police car, Evan. There's little kids going to and from school and you're standing in a field. You know, you do stupid things, but you really are an idiot. It's all fun and games till you're doing it to kids on the way to and from school. Oh, don't be stupid. Oh, yep, here comes the police car, you freaking idiot. I get you. Oh my God. What the hell? Oh my God. Where'd you get the scooter? Where did you get the scooter, Evan? Is that my baby carrier? You're not even wearing it right. I was gonna sell that on the marketplace. Seriously, get home. Where the hell did you get the scooter? No. God damn it. You're an idiot. That piece of crap. Get down. I'm getting multiple messages and phone calls saying you're looking in business windows, Evan. If you fall and break a bone, I am not gonna wheel your ass around in a wheelchair. This is ridiculous. Get home. You are such an idiot. Oh my God. Get down. Well, that's how we got up there. Guess I'm gonna have to start hiding the damn ladders.
So this is what people do on TikTok. Oh my
Apparently.
gosh.
Just dress up as creepy.
This was flipping Michael
Halloween.
Myers and go just stand in front of windows.
Yeah.
Can you imagine doing that in downtown Phoenix? You'd probably get shot.
Oh, probably. Let's see what's next.
Touche, Dollar General. You've outdone yourself. How do I get the fuck off? I got a job tomorrow. They have 2 little kids. No, I'm gonna terrify them. How? Is this a permanent tattoo? Cause where the box at? It's like one with my skin now. They're 4 and 7, man. Come on!
Oh my gosh.
If your Grinch costume got stuck on you like that,
It was a mask, so thankfully I didn't have to go through that.
scrubbing your face to get all
Oh,
the green
jeez.
off. Okay, I think we have 2 more, right? 2 more fun days.
Like shit is in my pants.
First of all, why did you just come?
I am super sorry. I sharted.
How did you shart?
I farted.
And you just pooped all over yourself?
Yes.
Well, what do you want me to do about it?
I don't know. Just change me.
Dustin, you're 6 years old, and you're messing with me. I know you.
9-1.
Oh, you're not messing.
Poor
boy.
kid was like, Dad, I just shit my pants. Dad's like, no, you didn't. You're messing. The kid's like, no.
Yeah. The dad was like, you have to. He was praying she was kidding. Like, oh, she's kidding. She's kidding. It's. Yeah.
All right.
So, as a matter of fact, I do have a couple tattoos. Barney. That's Morgan Freeman. That's Mr. Potato Head. And Doodleball in a ring pop. That's Pitbull inside of a globe because he's Mr. Worldwide. Steve Harvey. Ow! That's Albert Einstein and Nacho Libre. And these are a family of frogs. That's Scooby-Doo. And that's Devil Snoopy. Oh, that's Where's Waldo. And a dead goldfish in the alphabet. And the Cookie Monster. Those are my toes. Pink Panther. That's Eeyore. There's Noah, Mr. P-Word Destroyer. Oh, Teletubby. Mr. Kermit the Frog. That's a roach. And a fat-ass unicorn. That's a lemon. That's Timmy Turner. And Dr. Seuss, Cat in the Hat. And a carrot and a mouse. And that's a ghost with a fucking fat ass. Gucci Mane's ice cream cone. Some measurements. That's a fucking perk 30, but it says no perk 30s. It's like the no smoking sign, but with perk 30s. That's the House of Balloons album cover for The Weeknd. And that is Dolly's Melting Clock. That's a pair of hanging Converse. Oh, Clifford, Gummy Bears, Pickle Rick. Oh, that's my Mac Miller portrait. Let me know, does it look like Mac Miller or 50 Cent? It looks like he has a dick in his mouth. That's my cat. That's my other cat. He lacks chromosomes. A lot of them. Oh, that's Shrek. And that's Jacob from Twilight. I think that's Jacob. Yeah, yeah. I don't know, to be honest.
Was one more that I wanted to show because it was my favorite. I can't ruin it. It's got to be this one though. The last one.
This one? Okay.
Well, I don't know where it's at then, but it was dropping a plunger on a bald guy's head from the second story balcony, and the suction it made, that noise when it like on his head was absolutely hilarious, and he took off running up the stairs with the plunger stuck to his head. It was great. Anyways, I don't have anything else, Juan, unless there's anything else you want to add.
No, just a great weekend, and hopefully everyone gets out to the stadium tomorrow. Noon kickoff. It's a blackout, and I know there's a lot of hemming and hawing about whether it's a blackout. Just go and have fun. Who cares what they're wearing? Who cares what time the game is? Who cares
Anyone
about?
Who is
just
complaining.
Take your ass to the stadium, cheer this team on. Let's get to flipping 6-2 and finish the season strong. That's all that really matters in the end.
I just invite you to take yourself back to this point in time last year. Would you be complaining if you had heard that there was a kickoff that you were able to attend? No, you wouldn't. So if you're complaining, gladly transport yourself back in time 365 days to when the whole world couldn't do anything.
Just be grateful we can get there and have fun and enjoy 25 years from our season, and hopefully we witness the resurrection of this team and the march to hopefully what will be a 10-2 season, which I don't think anyone's going to be crying about. So
I don't think
let's
so
go.
either.
Let's go, Devils.
That's all we have for you. As you can see, our little QR scanning code just popped up. You guys can feel free to go ahead and scan that wherever you're watching, and it will take you to the link to follow us on all of our social media, our YouTube, everything like that. Make sure you go hit that smash follow, whatever, subscribe button that it may be, and we'll see you guys soon. Peace.